Hi everyone, I'm back with yet another book review video that you might enjoy. And this is a very tough book. It has been around for a long time and it is still one of the best reads that you can ever do. It's a tough read, but if you like reading complex, tough topics and authors trying to make it simple for you, this could be the book for you. It is Fooled by Randomness, the hidden role of chance in life and in the markets. So, Fooled by Randomness itself is a provocative topic and many people may take offense to it. But the author goes on to suggest that in life, many things happen by chance and randomness. And very curiously, we often attribute our success to our skill set, but our failure to randomness and not to lack of skill set. Right? And we tend to get fooled by randomness. So I will share a few key points from this book. This is, of course, like I said, it is a complex and tough book, but I would strongly recommend that you do take some time to read it slowly, chew on it, think about it. The author has put in a lot of anecdotes, particularly from stock market, because he is a trader and an essayist. And the author, of course, is Nassim Nicholas Taleb. He is one of the foremost essayists of our times. I would say in the league of Daniel Kahneman in terms of how he thinks and how he can present his thoughts. So first up, I'm actually not even qualified to summarize or review this book. The kind of intellect that this man possesses, you will marvel at each sentence and each paragraph that you read. And that itself is good reason that you should read it to see how far people can think and how deep people can go with their thought and how well they can articulate. If for nothing else, this itself is enough reason for you to read this book. So, like I said, this book expresses the role of chance in our success and failure and explains through anecdotes and reasoning and logic as to why this happens. And the backdrop is often the trading world or stock markets, but it can be applied to anything else. Why should we even read such a book? Now, if we can understand the role of chance in our lives, in success and failure, we will better understand how life unfolds. We will better understand the reason and the logic behind certain successes and failures. We'll be more open-minded. We will be more humble. We will be more welcoming of other people's contribution in our life, both success and failure. Right? And that's a very sobering thought if you can understand what I mean. So, point number one, our success and failure both are often determined by chance and randomness, not so much by skill. If you work hard, you increase your luck. That this author also says, but he also goes on to say that many success stories that we read are actually a result of a chance incident or a stroke of randomness. Right. So we should not read too much behind the success that we see in some people. We should continue to work hard and we should continue to focus on what we can. Once we have a success or a failure, we often start creating stories to explain it. These stories may or may not be true. Think of your own stories, think of your own successes and failures. I did this experiment and I found that most of the time, those stories that I was telling myself were actually not true. That did not really happen. And I just tried to create a castle around my success and failures to explain the outcome. And this happens a lot. And this happens because we are unable to see the role of randomness and we are unable to accept the role of random. For example, in many stock market situations, we find that people make a lot of money and then the same people lose a lot of money. And when they make a lot of money, they, of course, explain it with their intellect. And when they lose, they blame it on others and mark on and not their expertise or intellect. Point three, we are more likely to remember our successes than our failures. And this itself is a problem. The author suggests that if we analyze both with the same intensity and integrity, we would be better off. Point four, our beliefs and actions are often based on incomplete information because by which time we try and make a story around it and we convince ourselves that whatever we know is enough. Sometimes that is not enough, particularly in complex cases like medical or stock market. The limited knowledge that we have may not be enough to explain a certain outcome. So some humility at that stage is useful. Next point. This randomness actually exists in almost every situation, not just stock trading. It is just a little bit more visible in stock trade, right? So it exists in politics, it exists in life in general, sports and theater and medicine, everywhere. Take an example to gold medal win at the Tokyo Olympics in javelin throw is hailed as, of course, Neeraj Chopra's fantastic win. I salutes to him. He did fantastically well. But if you analyze that particular day, multiple random factors played in. The weather was perfect for his style. The other competitors, particularly the world champion, had a really bad day, and he was far, far ahead of Neeraj Chopra in terms of throwing ability, and he would have easily won the gold. But that day, a random event ensured that he could not perform to his best. There were two other competitors who also could not perform best, and Neeraj, without throwing his best, actually won the gold medal. Now, no doubt that he has worked really hard, no doubt that he deserved the gold medal, but the randomness in this event cannot be ignored. So that's an example that I can share of why and how certain random events actually lead to success and to failure. And there is no reason why we should either celebrate our skill set, grieve our lack of skill set when either of these outcomes happen. Point 7 is around confidence. We are more likely to believe confident people even if they are making no sense at all. Now, this is proven across fields that confident people can actually spin a story and we will tend to believe that, even if there is no logic in it, right? So, now, of course, this means that we should be careful about listening to confident people and believing what they're saying 100%. And on the converse, it also means that if we can increase our confidence, we can get more people to believe in us. Point 8 is around Black Swan events. So this author's earlier book, Black Swan, talks about the whole concept of a black swan emerging in a sea of white swans. And this can happen in every area where suddenly an event or an outcome happens, which is contrary to popular belief, contrary to all logic. And that event can either make or break many people's career. So, for example, in trading that this author is explained, several black swan events have led to people making a fortune. And in the same black swan event, some people lost a lot of money, right? So the ability to identify and understand that this is a black swan moment is extremely important. Now, another example, COVID, many people can call it a black swan. I also, believe that COVID was a black swan, or actually is, we are still not done with it, is a black swan event. The author actually goes on to explain, not in this book, but later on, that COVID might not be a black swan event because there were multiple, I would say, indications that this kind of a thing might happen. And so it is not actually totally a surprise. Now you can argue with it that whether this is being smart in hindsight or knowing after the event and so on. But the logic is that many people actually expected this kind of a event, and therefore it is not truly a black swan event. For you and me, regular readers, it could be a black swan event. And the role of black swan event is extremely important in many people's life. So what can we do? Diversification and risk management are essential to cope with such situations of randomness, right? So you must expect randomness in your life. So diversification and some level of spreading your risk is extremely important, particularly from a financial point of view, and maybe even in other areas. If you are very good in some subject and want to build a career there, please understand that out of sheer randomness, that may not happen, right? It is not a reflection on your ability or lack of ability. So what is your plan B? So that is diversification in your career, which is some one thing that you can understand from food by randomness, is that randomness may actually limit your career in a way that you may not understand. And you may blame yourself or other people or other circumstances, but it is actually fairly random. So a plan B or sometimes C is actually very important. So in summary, understanding randomness in our lives can help us become more humble, open minded, and willing to learn from others and our mistakes. So, how can you use this book? I think there are 4 ways in which we can learn something from this book. Firstly, be humble and recognize the role of chance in your life. Second, make decisions based on data And while you appreciate the chance in your life, don't depend too much on it. 3, diversify your risk both in life, career, and 4, learn from your mistakes. And don't be too quick to attribute to either your skill set or lack of it. Right. So that was a quick summary of the book Fooled by Randomness by Nassim Taleb. Amazing masterpiece, a rebel of a book. You may not find it, complying to many popular wisdom, but it is amazing as to how this man can think that far and can create a whole concept around something as ordinary as randomness. And it is not ordinary. That is one thing you will realize once you read this book. So that was a quick summary of this book. Let me know how you like it. If you are on LinkedIn, I actually publish a summary or book recommendation almost every Monday for almost 1.5 years now. If you follow me there, you will get an alert on when I post my next book summary. And of course, if you are on YouTube, feel free to subscribe to my channel so that you can get more such content. With that, thank you. Till the next book.